Hi there and welcome to this episode of Beyond the Photo with me, Damien Jackson. In this video, I'm at the bridges of Ross on the Head Peninsula. I'm going to explore some of the coastline and try and get some wave shots. Now it is the middle of the day, the light is quite harsh, but when I'm looking out I see the action of the white waves on the rocks and that. I'm hoping that even without sunset or sunrise colours, that I might get some good shots as I go through the day. So thank you very much for joining me along the journey, and let's get going.
The bridges of Ross are located on the Head Peninsula in County Clare. They are roughly 20 kilometres from the nearest town of Kilkee and 6 kilometres from Head Lighthouse. Originally they were 3 bridges, or I suppose correctly termed sea arches, located very close to the shore, but now there is only one remaining, as due to erosion the other 2 have collapsed into the sea. Now I did do some searching on the web, but I couldn't find when these 2 arches crumbled, so I'm not actually sure if it was in the recent past or maybe 100 or maybe even hundreds of years ago. Now there's a car park quite close to the remaining bridge, making it easily accessible. But for me the main attraction is not really the remaining bridge or sea arch, but it's the rugged rock formations all around the area, and in the right conditions the seas really get wild around here. In addition to that, you have Head Lighthouse just a few kilometres away. And the Kilkee Cliffs provide some great opportunities for photography with lots of sea stacks, and again you have those wild seas coming in off the Atlantic.
So this is the location for my first composition. It's a little inlet that leads under the bridge of Ross as such, and there's lots of nooks and crannies around, and there's actually a hole just to the left of screen there, and you'll see it when a big wave comes in that the water actually gushes out through that hole as well. So it's a little bit calmer than I thought it would be, but I'm hoping I'll get some shots that the odd wave will come in that'll be strong enough to give a good break all around the rocks and push some water out through that hole as well. There's a batch of huge waves have just come in at the moment, and I'm shooting with a 6-stop filter, getting 1/5 of a second at f11, because what I'm trying to do is get the streaks of water as they run down and get those big breakers as well. So I'm shooting on continuous high speed shutter speed, because one of them, there's the water just coming out through the hole in the wall there now. One of them hopefully will be better than the other. I'll widen my composition a little bit. I'm actually going to put on a wider lens, because what's happening to me is that I'm not getting the hole where the water is gushing out and the big breakers at the other side as well. So I'm just going to switch that quickly. Okay, so that's much wider. I have everything covered now. I just need the wave to come in. Now another option that you would have here is to what they call time blend. Because I've got the camera set up on the tripod and it's not moving, what I can do is I can combine several images together. For example, if a wave breaks out at the cliff edge, but there's no water coming through the hole, well then I could blend that with another one where the actual water is coming just like it is now, coming in through the hole. So you get all the action. So it could be 3 shots, it could be 4 shots, because not all the waves are going to be in the best places all of the time. But if you take a number of shots without moving the camera, you could blend them together and then take the best from each of them.
So in the end I just couldn't get a shot that satisfied all of the criteria of the water coming out through the hole and dripping down off the rocks of either side. So here's a blend of 4 images. There's one for the crash of the waves on the outside cliff. There's one for each of the water flowing down off of either side of the cliff. And the final image then is the water flowing out through the hole. So I suppose you could call it a time blend as such, as opposed to the normal exposure blend. So the 4 of these were taken into Lightroom, put into Photoshop then with a mask, and just edited out the little bits that I wanted. And this is the final image.
Okay, I think it's time I moved on and try and got some more action somewhere else. So I've moved now over to the other side of the last remaining bridge of Ross, and as you can see, all it is a sea arch really, but the other two have fallen in over the years. Now I've put on a graduate, or my ND filter again, the 6 stop, and I'm hoping to get a shutter speed of around 2 seconds. What I want to do is get some nice patterns as the water comes in and then sweeps back. As you can see, it's a mix of emerald green and then the whitewash. Now, there's a little bit too much whitewash. It would be nicer if there was some more green there. Now why I'm so close to the edge is that there's a small stony beach right below me, and I want to try and get the water sweeping back off of those, and the stones themselves then are shining in the light. So I'm at f16, 2 second 6 stop filter. I suppose one of the advantages of shooting here in the middle of the day is that all the cliffs on both sides of the inlet are lit up, and you can see the different colours in the rocks, whereas, you know, when the sun is low in the sky, it tends to be very shadowy down here and everything is dark.
So here's what I suppose is the best shot from that location. It's not too bad for the middle of the afternoon. I like the contrast between the emerald green and the white. Again, there's probably a little bit too much white, but I do like the little rocks on the stony beach down below.
So I think I've exhausted this location. I'm going to take a walk down the coast, just down in the direction of Loop Head. Now I'm several kilometres from it, but I'm just going to walk down maybe 400 or 500 metres. There seems to be a lot of big waves breaking on the rocks, and I might catch something down there. So we'll give it a go anyway. So here's my next composition. As you can see, there's a piece of rock jutting out into the sea. It's almost forming a barrier between the sea and the land, and there seems to be some holes in it, and there's water cascading down. It's like a small waterfall, and then when the waves hit it, the amount of water just increases, and an odd time the bigger waves are coming right over the top through several different holes. Well, that was a big one, I wasn't expecting that. But you can see now the way the water is just falling down the cliff face there, and that's what I'm going to try and capture. I'm going to use maybe 1/5 or 1/6 of a second, and that should give a nice little bit of flow without actually freezing it. So I'm ready to go now. I'm just waiting for a wave. I'm at f11, 1/5 of a second with a 6 stop filter on, ISO 100. I'm waiting for a wave to lash against the opposite side of that cliff, so that it'll force the water through the holes, and the cascade will get that little bit bigger. Again, I'm underexposing just a little bit because of the harsh light on the water. I don't want any blown highlights. I want the detail within that water. Here we go. Something should happen now. Wow, that's lovely. Again, I'm banging off shots good old, because you know, it's only when you get them home onto the large screen or the laptop or whatever, it's only then you know really whether you got a nice shot or not. Other than that, you're just guessing off the back of the screen. gives you some indication, but you know, I always think it's nice to have a good few to choose from.
I think this is one of those images that look better in reality or live than as a captured image. Technically, I suppose it's okay, there's good shutter speed to capture the movement, etc. But to me, it just hasn't impact. There's just something missing from this image.
So I've just come about 100 metres, 200 metres down the coast again, and as you can see there's some monster waves breaking here over the rocks, and I think I'll get out to 70-200 and just try capture some of that at maybe 1,000 of a second, so that I just freeze everything. Some fabulous action there. I put on the 70-200, I put my shutter speed up to 1,000 of a second at f8, and my ISO is still only 100 because it's so bright. I'm going to shoot handheld because I want to be able to adapt really fast when the waves break in different areas. And to be honest, I don't need the stability shooting at 1,000 of a second anyway. It'll be fine. So I'm just going to rattle off in high speed and get as many different angles as I can on the different areas. Here's a huge one coming in now. What I am missing is a focal point, and you know, if you just had a lighthouse or a pier or something like that, because the waves are fabulous, they're huge, but there's no scale there. It's difficult to see how big they are, and in addition to that, I would just like, you know, one rock or something that were breaking against a sea stack, something like that, rather than just coming straight in. So we're never happy, are we? What is nice, I noticed through the lens, is that when the larger waves are rolling into their bar, there's a lovely deep emerald green colour, and hopefully I'll be able to bring that out in post as well. It looks really well rather than all the white. Right, I think I'll take a wander down the coast for another half hour or so and see if there's anything else I can find.
So here we are, the best from this location. I love the emerald green that I had alluded to earlier in the video. But again, as I mentioned, there's no focal point here, and it's difficult to imagine how big these waves were. These were 4 or 5 meters high. But because there's nothing to compare them with, they could be any size really, so it's a pity from that front. But look, while they're not bangers, they're okay images.
So what I'm trying to do is I'm waiting for the waves to come in over this rock face in front of me, and as you can see there's lots of different levels on it, and when the waves come in over it, they cascade down all the different levels, and it just has a lovely effect. Now at the moment it's happening out further on and it's happening in close, but there's not much happening in the middle, so I'm just waiting so that they all cascade. Here's a little one now, maybe. Get that little cascade as it just runs off of the water. Now I have lost a lot of the light that I had. Right now, am I captured now? Okay. Right, here we go. Wait for the runoff. That's looking good. Okay, well that was about the best one that I got. I've been shooting here for a few minutes now.
So this is the best I could create from this spot. Now it is a time blend of 3 images because I just couldn't get the waves coming in, the waves breaking against the rocks, and also the cascade all in one image. So it's a time blend of 3 different images.
So I finished the last video and I was heading up the road and I was going to go to the Cliffs of Moher, which are about an hour and a half from here. And then I was looking at the time and I said, look, I'm going to be under pressure to get here. So I just went into Kilkee for some food and I said I'd come back here for the sunset instead of going to the cliffs. So I thought I was in for a treat, but as you can see now, there's a bank of low-lying cloud just on the horizon and the sun is just starting to dip behind it, and if it goes down behind that, I think we're going to lose all colour. But I'm back at my last location, still trying to get the cascades going down the side of the wall. This time I'm using a 3-stop graduated filter because all of the cliffs are in shadow and the sky still has that bit of brightness there until the cloud drops down. So I'm going to keep shooting here and see how I got on. It's a pity about that bank of cloud, but look, these things always happen. There is a nice little bit of light reflecting even now up the rocks, so you know, I might get that.
So here it is, what I thought would be my last image of the evening, but stay tuned because something happened as I was walking back the cliffs. Now again, look, it's a nice image, there's lovely colour in it. To me, it just hasn't the impact yet, so I seem to be very negative today, but while I'm getting a lot of nice shots, there's no bangers there yet anyway.
So I was just heading back to the van and I came across this scene down below me with a big rock and nice bit of little colour, just afterlight I suppose, appearing there in the sky, because I'm looking in a different direction now than when I was up at the sunset earlier. And this is amazing here. Look at the size of these waves coming in, and there's a lovely sweep back, and that's what I'm trying to get here. I'm on 2 seconds and waiting for the waves to come in and then sweep out. Other than that, I'm also waiting for the big waves to come up over the rock, and then when they cascade down on this side of it, I'm catching those as well. So look, all in all, it was productive enough for a night that I thought I was getting nothing out of a few minutes ago. So here's a really big one coming in now. See how that goes. And I just catch it now as it's cascading down. 2 seconds. Catch it sweeping down and squeezing out. See how it goes. Hopefully it'll look okay. I have a graduated filter on it and I'm still catching that little bit of colour in the sky. There's another big one coming, so I may as well wait for that.
Happy enough with this one. I love the contrast in the colours. They're almost the opposites on the colour wheel. The orange and the yellows of the sky and the blue of the shadows of the sea. I think the shutter speed works well to catch the cascade coming down off the rocks and the sweep back out to the sea as well. So look, it's an unexpected bonus I suppose, just as I was heading home. And before I go, here's a recap of the 7 images captured from today's shoot.
So that's it from me at the Bridges of Ross. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like or a comment below. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time, stay safe and bye for now.